Hello viewers, tutorial 5, question 2. So we have the graph of y equals 10 sine of 2x times pi plus pi upon 3, which is shown there. We have 4 points of interest on this graph and we need to find their coordinates. So each of those points is a particular feature of the graph and we can read off or figure out rather easily what one of the coordinates needs to be, and we need to calculate the second coordinate. So for point A, what do we know about point A? Point A is the y-intercept because it's where it crosses the vertical line. It's the y-intercept, so since it's the y-intercept we know x equals 0, and we can substitute that into 10 sine of 2 pi x plus pi upon 3, so we get y equals 10 times sine of 2 pi x is 2 pi times x we know to be 0 plus pi upon 3, and if we calculate that we get an answer of 8.66. so A is the point x is 0 and y equals 8.66. Okay, so that's point A. Now for the others, it's not x that we'll be able to figure out, it's y. So we'll need to rearrange the equation. So we want to make x the subject. Okay, so y divided by 10, we're going to start by dividing both sides by 10. So y over 10 equals sine of 2 pi x plus pi over 3. So therefore 2 pi x plus pi upon 3 is going to be sine inverse of y over 10. And if we complete the rearrangement, we need to subtract pi upon 3 from both sides and divide by 2 pi. So our complete rearrangement is going to be x equals sine inverse of y over 10 minus pi upon 3. That will be divided by 2 pi. So that's our complete rearrangement that we will need for points B, C and D. Okay, so point B, what coordinate can we recognise? First of all, what's the feature? It's the maximum of the graph. And for the maximum of a sine function, sine itself has a maximum of 1. So 10 times sine will have a maximum of 10. So at B, y is going to be equal to 10. So if we make y equal to 10, so for maximum y equals 10, and x is going to be obtained by putting y equals 10 into the above formula. So we get sine inverse of y is 10 over 10 minus pi over 3, and that's divided by 2 pi. So that gives us, what does that give us? That will give us 1 over 12. So we end up with an answer of 1 over 12. So therefore we can say that B is the point 1 over 12 comma, and the value of y was 10. So that's point B. Point C, what feature is this? This is the x-intercept, and for the x-intercept we know that y equals 0. X-intercept because it's where it crosses this horizontal line, the x-axis. So if we put x equals 0 into that graph, what does that give us? That gives us x equals sine inverse of y is 0 divided by 10 minus pi over 3 divided by 2 pi. And if we calculate that, what do we end up with? We end up with an answer of negative 1 over 6. Are we expecting our answer to be negative, or are we expecting our answer to be positive? Well, our y axis is this is this vertical line there. We expect it to be positive because we're looking for a point to the right of it. But we've got a negative answer, which means the calculator's actually given us that value there. We want this one. So how do we get from here to here? We need to add what portion of a period? A full cycle would be from when it crosses through the middle on the way up to when it crosses the middle on the way up again, which would be here. So here to here is half a cycle, which means we need to add half the period. So we need to add a half period. So we need to figure out what the period is. So what is the period? Period equals, let's go back here, period is going to be 2 pi over b, which is 2 pi over b is 2 pi because that's what multiplies the x. So we get a period of 1. So our actual c coordinate is going to be minus 1 over 6 plus half of 1, which gives us minus 1 over 6 plus a half is 1 over 3. So c has the coordinates of 1 over 3 is your x coordinate and y is 0. Okay, so c is 1 over 3 and 0. One other point we need to work out, and that is point D. So for point D, let's work out the y. So we're looking at the minimum of the graph. The normal sine function, without a coefficient, without a number in front, has a smallest value of negative 1. So 10 times the sine function will have a smallest value of that will be multiplied by 10 to make it negative 10. So for the minimum, we will have that at y equals negative 10. Okay, so therefore, we need to substitute into that rearrangement that we had before. X equals sine inverse of y is negative 10 over 10 minus pi over 3, and that is divided by 2 pi. That's the rearrangement we had before, substituting in a value of y equals negative 10, and that gave us, if we calculate that, we get negative 5 over 12. So again, that gave us a negative value. We want D, which is this point, negative 5 over 12. Negative means it's on the left. Actually, we've got that point there. To get from here to here, that would be a full period, because we're talking about the difference between a point on one cycle to the point exactly on the next cycle. So we need to add, we're talking about the bottom, the minimum, so it's going to be a whole period, so we need to add 1. So the actual D coordinate is going to be add 1 period. So we get negative 5 over 12 plus 1, which is 7 over 12. So D has coordinates of 7 over 12 as your x coordinate, and y was negative 10. Okay, so what did we find out? We found out that A has the coordinates 0, 0 and 8.66. B has coordinates 1 over 6, 10. C has coordinates 1 over 3, 0. And D has coordinates 7 over 12, negative 10. Thanks for watching. Over and out.